Of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador. I'm Carla Gonzalez. This is from the South. Let's begin by taking a look at how South Americans are celebrating Carnival. In Brazil, Rio de Janeiro's samba schools were in full swing for Carnival as they paraded in a dazzling display of festivity at the Samba Dome. The competition between samba schools is fierce. A first place result is bragging rights among Rio's mostly pure communities. And during Carnival, demonstrations were also held in support of Lula in the streets of Belo Horizonte. There were calls for freedom and sovereignty during a pro-Lula celebration. With the far-right government of Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro, the president in Brazil, prejudice against immigrants is on the rise. But a Carnival group by Sao Paulo's Indian migrant community is breaking down barriers.
With the return of fascism to Brazil represented by the far-right Bolsonaro government, prejudice against immigrants is on the rise, but a Carnival Bloco, founded by São Paulo's Indian immigrant community, is breaking down barriers.
When I came to Brazil first time, I saw many street festivals, the carnival here, and it reminded me of street festivals in India. You know, in India we have a great tradition of people going out on the streets, playing music, playing bateria and dancing and playing colors. So I got an idea of creating something similar in Brazil and also to promote our culture, to reveal our Indian culture to Brazilian people, and also to mix Indian culture with the Brazilian culture because we are migrants here, we live in this country, we love this country, and Brazilians love Indian culture.
With a drum group made up of university music students, the Bollywood Block mixes Brazilian percussion with Bagra pop music. And the parade is led by a group of Indian and Brazilian women who perform synchronized dance moves. The Bloco draws a crowd of all ages and socio-economic backgrounds.
It's been a long time since we dressed up for Carnival, and since we have this Indian team Bloco in Sao Paulo, we decided to throw our costumes together and we are calling ourselves Mahatma and Robin, which in Portuguese sounds like Batman and Robin.
Founded in 2015, the Bollywood Bloco is getting more popular every year. This year, a local magazine named it as one of São Paulo's 10 best carnival bands. In a climate of growing xenophobia, this carnival group is breaking down barriers and fostering friendships.
This is a really good bloco because we Brazilians get to see a little of Indian culture. And you know, it's really fun and happy, and it helps destroy prejudices against the immigrant community.
I love India.
Brian Muir, Telesur, São Paulo.
And families in Venezuela continue to enjoy Carnival festivities in peace. Hundreds of Venezuelans have participated in diverse activities, including concerts, plays, and dances, amongst other events. The celebrations have taken place across Venezuela in beaches, parks, and open spaces. The government deployed the national police across the country to ensure security, and people have been enjoying the entertainment as normal. Bolivians also took part in an ancient tradition to kick off Carnival, a blessing of the workplace and homes across the country. They asked Mother Nature for protection.
Indigenous priests and priestesses led a ritual to commemorate Mother Earth. During the ceremony, they burned incense, while in Aymara they thanked for what the earth has given them, hoping to have more for the rest of the year.
What we produce in our territories is celebrated with our culture, our food, our language, music and dances. All of this joy, that expression of joy, is felt when we share our culture.
The Chaya, or blessing of the workspaces, is an ancestral tradition. In public and private offices, the ritual took place on Friday. On Tuesday, the ceremony will be held at home with every family member dressed up and having alcohol.
Carnival is what unites us, despite our economic and ideological differences. We're a big family. It's our tradition. That's what Bolivia is known for. Let's toast so we can have a good year.
During the blessing of the presidential palace, President Evo Morales asked Mother Earth to strengthen the political underway. He also asked for public officers to commit so this request can come true.
All, not only in Bolivia, but international organizations know that we are a better country than before. Why not do more efforts and work more for this?
The Chaya, or blessing, launches carnival celebrations. Here, the biggest expression of this celebration takes place in Oruro, with a parade of thousands of dancers and musicians that last for 18 hours.
And festivities are also underway in Uruguay. The satirical group Agárrate Catalina portrayed costumes which spoke to political and social issues. The traditional humor and musicality of its characteristics of the country's popular theater groups that are also known as murgas. Now to Europe. In Portugal, revelers fill the streets of Torres Vedras, the home of the country's most famous carnival. The event featured floats with satirical depictions of world-renowned figures, among them US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Also, a figure of Cristiano Ronaldo, the country's most famous sportsman, also made an appearance. Men dressed as women, known as matrafonas, were also part of the traditional event. Carnival has also been in full swing in Venice, Italy, with people dressing up in masks and costumes. It kicked off on February 16 and will last until March 5th. This year's theme is Blame the Moon, inspired by the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing. In other news, Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador has cancelled a large gold mining project in the state of Baja California to protect the environment and water resources. Our correspondent in Mexico City, Pablo Perez, has more details.
Well, the President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador announced today that he is canceling the concession for a gold mine to a mining company owned by Ricardo Salinas Pliego, one of the principal main businessmen here in Mexico. This concession was held at the beginning by a Canadian company, even as it was on a natural reserve on a national park of Sierra La Laguna in Baja California Sur. This is the North Pacific side of Mexico. And then, well, it is environmental reasons, the one cited by the President Lopez Obrador for stopping the project. He also said that exactly this state, Baja California Sur, along with Quintana Roo, are the ones that are producing the more richest and the highest number of jobs by tourist companies, which he says is a business that doesn't pollute so much, doesn't harm the environment in such a hard way as the open mining, as we have seen by different companies in the whole Latin American territory.
Thank you, Pablo. That was Pablo Perez from Mexico City. And in the U.S., the teachers' strike in Oakland, California is officially over. We spoke to participating teacher Marisa Villegas about the agreement and how the education policies have affected teachers across the United States.
It's difficult because no one ever really gets everything that they want in a situation like this. There are concerns on behalf of different stakeholders, but ultimately I think it was definitely a step forward. And it's the beginning of a movement. Really, this is not just about the children and teachers of Oakland. It's really about what's happening in our state and in our country when it comes to funding education and the way in which education is being privatized by corporate companies. Funds are not being placed into public education the way they should be, and instead they're being placed into bringing more privatized and corporate charter schools into our public districts that are siphoning away money from the public schools that need the support. So just as we need more money, students are being taken out of our classrooms, and therefore funds are being taken out of our classrooms and placed into other programs that have not proven to be successful and have not accomplished what they claim that they're going to accomplish with these students.
We'll take a short break now. Stay with us. Welcome back. Brazilian military police intentionally broke the arm of the PT president in the city of Atibaia in Sao Paulo. Wearing a t-shirt that read "Free Lula," Giovanni Doratiotto was being taken to the police station after a conflict with Jair Bolsonaro's supporters during Carnival. Video of the incident spread on social media, and the police officers responsible were temporarily removed from the procession. Leaders of the Workers' Party denounced the repression of the politician. Uruguay's President Tabares has outlined the achievements made by his government in the last 4 years of his presidency. Let's see more about his record in office.
It was a much-anticipated speech. The election year has just kicked off in Uruguay, and it's no big surprise that thousands of citizens came to listen to President Tabares Vázquez's speech that summarized what his government has achieved over the past 4 years. One of the things that Vázquez highlighted was the increase in the national minimum wage by 314% since the left-wing government took power.
We have been prioritizing wages and working conditions of the working and low-class citizens, and between 2004 and 2019, as you all know, their salaries have increased by 314%. All this because we want to ensure a national minimum salary that protects the weakest.
President Vázquez also listed the achievements in 10 sectors which were prioritized during his second term. These were education, healthcare, national housing, digitalization, and foreign policy, amongst others, especially regarding Uruguay's stance on the situation in Venezuela. The president said his government maintains a policy of non-interference.
We do not support any kind of foreign interference because we are faithful to the legacy of Uruguay and its government throughout history. We defend the sovereignty and self-determination of nations. Also, we believe in non-interference policies in the international affairs of nations and a peaceful resolution to controversial issues. And today we are happy to see that many countries follow this instance.
With regard to the economy, President Vázquez delivered some hard facts. Uruguay has been experiencing an uninterrupted economic growth over the last 14 years. This year, the economy is expected to grow by 2%, while projections for 2020 say that the growth will be between 2.5 and 3%. In the meanwhile, public and social security sectors are in need of improvement.
I think Tabares has done a thorough and detailed review of progress in many sectors and acknowledged that there is still a lot of room for improvement. There are things to do in order to improve the well-being of our society, bring greater equity and more equal rights.
The opposition took to social media to criticize Vázquez's speech, but experts say there is overwhelming data to back the president's claims, although the public doesn't see much of it.
The truth is that one can come with enormous enthusiasm in recognizing and appreciating what the government has done for us. In your day-to-day hustling, you might not value everything they have done for us, but hopefully more and more people will recognize it.
President Vázquez ended his speech saying he has high expectations regarding the electoral campaign. He is ineligible to run again due to constitutional term limits, so the ruling party will have to choose a new candidate.
Despite threats by the United States, self-proclaimed interim President Juan Guaidó has arrived in Venezuela without any issues. No arrest warrant has been issued against Guaidó, and he passed unimpeded through customs at Caracas airport. Several European ambassadors went to the airport to meet him, including those from Germany, France, and the Netherlands. And opposition supporters gathered in the east of the capital to welcome him. Guaidó had called for protests across the country on the day he returned to Venezuela. Both the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence and the National Security Advisor John Bolton warned of a strong and swift response if any action were taken against the opposition lawmaker. And following the welcome given to Guaidó by EU ambassadors, Venezuela's foreign minister has accused Germany and other European governments of illicit and hostile interference in Venezuelan affairs. Jorge Arriaza noted that the German parliament had already condemned its government's behavior. Even with the United States' efforts to split Venezuela's armed forces, the vast majority of the military remain loyal to the Constitution. Let's see why.
Always loyal, never traitors. It's more than a slogan. It's a commitment to defend Venezuela. The military feel they've been underestimated.
We have never doubted our capacity, our determination to win. Because when we have right on our side, truth on our side, we are bound to win. There is no room for pessimism or doubt. We are convinced we will prevail because we are on the right side of history.
From the lowest ranks to the highest, these soldiers know exactly what they are doing.
We're going to defend our territory. Always loyal, never traitors.
We have just one objective, to defend our country.
We are absolutely firm about defending this country. And if we have to die for that, so be it.
On the 23rd of February, the supposed D-Day, the international media showed deserters as trophies. They even defended those who stole vehicles and ran over dozens of people. The Colombian authorities protected them. What in other parts of the world would have been called terrorism, here was rewarded. The end justified the means, never mind if they were dead or injured. Betrayal live on TV. There are reports of between 100 and 500 deserters. That's less than 1% of the 300,000 strong armed forces, without counting the 2 million in the militia.
As far as we're concerned, they were never soldiers. Being a soldier isn't just wearing a uniform. It is a series of principles and values, like patriotism and wish to defend Venezuela. So this doesn't worry us. There could be more of them. If they want to go, let them go. But the reality here, in the armed forces, is that there is cohesion and patriotism. If you go around the barracks, you'll feel the nationalist, patriotic spirit of the soldiers.
Many don't understand what is going on in the armed forces and why they haven't split. And that is what the PSUV leader, Diosdado Cabello, explained to Mexican journalist Luis Hernandez.
Yeah, we're banking on a split in the armed forces, because an invasion of Venezuela would cost the United States dearly. Not just in money, but in lives. So they needed an element of internal support, and the opposition can't give them that.
We are going to preserve the sovereignty of our country, comrades.
They are convinced they will stand firm. All the deserters have been stripped from their rank and expelled from the armed forces for treason.
The meeting between CARICOM and U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has been postponed until further notice. CARICOM's chairman, along with the prime ministers of Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados, were expected to hold talks on Venezuela with Pompeo on Wednesday. However, the U.S. Embassy in Trinidad has informed that the meeting will not take place as planned. CARICOM leaders say they remain open to meeting with the U.S. as they continue to pursue a peaceful and sustainable outcome for Venezuela. This weekend marked 3 years since the assassination of environmental activist Berta Caceres in Honduras. Our correspondent there, Gilda Silvestrucci, brings us up to date with her case.
In the past 3 years, the Honduran government and the judiciary in particular have shown their bias in the judicial process for Berta Caceres. They haven't called in the family, which own the energy development company. This is something that Berta's family's lawyers have been demanding since the process began. Some progress has been made, as the perpetrators of her killings are in jail, despite not being condemned, but it does mean the case is moving forward. Meanwhile, Berta's family are denouncing irregularities in the case file. They haven't been able to access it throughout these 36 months. Some of the tests put forward by Berta's lawyers have also been rejected by judges. The search for justice in the case of Berta Caceres' murder continues.
Gilda Silvestrucci from Honduras, and we have more stories coming up. We'll be back. Welcome back. United Nations representatives have said that Iran is complying with its obligations regarding its nuclear program. The Director General of the UN International Atomic Energy Agency said that Tehran continues to fulfill its side of the agreement signed in 2015. The Islamic Republic is doing so even after the United States abandoned the agreement and implemented additional sanctions on the country. Last May, U.S. President Donald Trump announced his country's exit from the treaty, accusing Iran of violating the terms.
I informed the board that Iran is implementing its nuclear-related commitments under the JCPOA. It is essential that Iran continues to fully implement these commitments.
Hundreds of Islamic State group fighters have surrendered to Syrian Democratic Forces led by the Kurdish People's Protection Units. This after an assault that took their last remaining territory in eastern Syria. The Islamic State group still has control in a few remote areas in Syria and Iraq, but it is unclear how many fighters they have left in the region. The Kurdish-led offensive has been slow due to efforts to protect civilians in the area. And life seems to have started to return to normal in the disputed region of Kashmir between Pakistan and India after cross-border shelling stopped on Monday. Shops and schools have reopened in Pakistan's Kashmir as tensions eases. The train services between both countries has also resumed service. It was suspended on February 3rd due to escalating tensions after 40 Indian soldiers were killed in Kashmir.
On the 26th of February, our institutions were shut after India's sudden firing spread fear all over. The people moved to safer places. These 5-6 days were quite scary. This worry was coupled with heavy rain and snow. The people have had a really hard time, and our government has now decided to reopen the institutions.
In Liberia, the son of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and two other senior figures at the central bank are due in court on Monday following a probe into missing banknotes. They were detained hours after investigators dismissed rumors that newly printed notes had gone missing. A report by a private consultant raised concerns about the accuracy of the bank's internal records. Sirleaf, the first elected female head of state in Africa, was president for 12 years. The Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Aboul Gate has said that unrest and instability in some Arab countries has allowed the emergence of terrorist groups in the region. During a joint meeting between Interior and Justice Ministers in Tunis, he said that terrorism remains the most serious threat of all times.
These terrorist groups are still able to change their skin and develop their work methods to hit again. And unfortunately, the turmoil and fragmentation of some Arab countries is creating a space for the existence of such bloody groups.
Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki have arrived in Juba in South Sudan on an official visit. The officials have been welcomed by South Sudan President Salva Kiir. They are expected to hold talks focusing on regional peace, economic ties, and infrastructure development. Also on the agenda are ways to bolster regional cooperation and integration. Police repression of Yellow Vest protests continued during the 16th weekend of demonstrations against the government of Emmanuel Macron. Among other documented incidents, heavily militarized police used tear gas on a disabled protester who had his mask confiscated. Accusations of press hypocrisy have been leveled as media outrage over the incident has been limited. And with that, we come to the end of this news brief. But as you know, this and many other stories, you can find them on our website at telesurenglish.net. And you can also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Carla Gonzalez. Thank you for watching.